Welcome to Breaking Barriers.
Welcome to Breaking Barriers.
Welcome to a journey of resilience and resolve,
where the voice of Afghan women journalists resonate with stories of loss, dreams, and restricted freedom.
In each episode,
we delve into the hearts and minds of those who dare to speak out,
despite the shadows that loom over their future.
We explore what it means to yearn for a silenced past and to hope for an unseen tomorrow.
Join us as we listen,
learn,
and share in the struggles and aspirations of these courageous women.
Together, we seek understanding and foster hope.
Welcome back to Breaking Barriers, where we explore the stories of Afghan women in journalism. Today, we're joined by Onka Ajayebzai, a passionate journalism student with deep ties to Afghanistan. Despite the challenges of the current situation, Onka remains determined to make a difference. Join us as we uncover her journey of resilience and hope. Welcome, Onka. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Before we delve into the topic, could you please share a bit about yourself and what inspired you to pursue journalism?
Okay, so I was actually in 9th grade when I started trying to join the major of journalism, but back in that time I was not really sure if I am going to have the journalism field in both of my Afghan national languages or it's going to be in English. But then coming to United States and finding the opportunity to work with one of the local news agency here in WAOW News 9, which is actually a news channel. But beside that, there are going to be a lot of other aspects, but it's focusing mainly on news. So I joined that, and then while I was a kid, I was so good at speaking. And at the same time, when I was growing up, I had a huge interest in joining so many majors at the same time. Like, for example, I wanted to be a person who has a lot of information, who is almost involved in everything, whether that could be in technology or politics or maybe economical aspects, or it could be in sport world, anything in the world. I wanted to have a little bit of everything in my mind. And the only thing that I thought could be really suitable or that could really match all these aspects, that was journalism. And for the first year that I started journalism at AUCA, I was kind of not sure. That's why I was doing like my major and minor. The major was again in GMC and the minor was ICP. But then later on, trying to give that journalism is really the major to cover up everything, then I decided I don't really need ICP to study beside it. So I only brought all of my attention and focus on the journalism field.
Nice. So did you have any introspective moment or emotional disturbances when watching the Afghanistan crisis away, especially given that you had plans of going back there and work as a journalist?
Honestly speaking, as an Afghan and then as a journalist, I could never ever thought of something happening like that to Afghanistan back when we faced in 2021. The US withdrawal happening, the whole destiny change game for the youth and everybody else inside and outside of Afghanistan. And then obviously as a youngster of the country who was studying abroad, I had so many thoughts. As I mentioned before, I'd never ever thought of being in journalism field in a language that doesn't really belong to me. I understand that we speak English as a second language in Afghanistan. I also understand that I did my bachelor in English language, but I never ever thought of kind of continuing my kind of education career or maybe in my field of journalism in English. I was like always a 100% sure that I'm going to go back to my country and kind of have the journalism field in one of at least the languages. But then after everything got changed suddenly, it was a huge disappointment It was a huge mental trauma. It was really hard to accept whatever we were facing at that time. It is still hard because with the long history of Afghanistan, with the huge background that we have, with the rich history that we have, people only remember the 40 years of war, whether that's in Afghanistan or any of Central Asian countries or even maybe in the United States. So it was like an emotional trauma, and it is still. Even right now, I think of Afghanistan as something that has not lose anything, I would say. I feel most of the time that everything is fine, everything is all right, and then I might get the chance to go back one day. And I am training here in English, I am studying here in English, and I am working in an English field in my major. But I always think that, what if I go back to the country someday and I am working in the field of journalism in my both languages? How hard it's going to be for me to switch that whole kind of system or method from English to one of these languages that we have in Afghanistan, which could be Dari or Pashto, because I have trained myself here in English. The language of my mind and the language of journalism in my mind is English. Changing that back to kind of one of the Afghan languages, that is going to be a huge challenge, but I accept that as long as the country goes back to the same situation. But it is really hard, and emotionally, it's a kind of, a sad trauma that we always go through. But at the same time, it's not something that we could run off. We always need to face it, whether we want it or we don't want it.
True. So what are the major challenges facing female journalists in Afghanistan these days, and how do you compare it to pre-Taliban period?
So the very basic challenge would be the topic of feminism in Afghanistan, because there are kind of men think in Afghanistan. There's kind of men ideology in Afghanistan. There's kind of men supporting system in Afghanistan that could start from our educational area to political to economical to all aspects, or to all the ideology it applies. Wherever you see, wherever you face the phase of life in Afghanistan, it's going to be through men. So there's like no line in Afghanistan that you could pass possibly with women and then you could reach out to men. No, that's not going to work. There are going to be layers and layers of men. Then possibly you could see a female. So in that type of society and that type of mindset, where that was going to be fine, let's say some 3 or 4 years back, when we had, let's say, Ashraf Ghani, or back behind him Karzai, or back behind him whoever it was, that ideology was like kind of trying to change. I haven't gone to Afghanistan recently, but some of my friends, they have been there, and they were discussing, like we were all the time discussing about how Kabul has changed, or let's say how other provinces has changed, how the ideology of men towards women education has changed, and how the government itself had a lot of female concluded inside it. But right now there's like no values. There are no kind of female thing. Like female as a word is a sin to them. Our females are not even allowed to go to the school, the primary school. They're banned for more than 2 years. It's almost getting to 3 years, and nobody's doing anything. No human rights is raising their voice. No feminism is saying that, oh, okay, this is feminism, right, and we gotta raise our voice. Because whenever it comes to Afghanistan, everybody's silent. At the same point, if we're talking about female journalists in Afghanistan, they are covered up completely. Their face is blocked with so many filters, with so many scars, with so many religious aspects, with so many culture thoughts and opinions. They're completely blocked. They're inside a cave where they cannot even breathe well. They cannot go anywhere. Even if they're at home, they need to kind of obey the minism thing inside the house. Wherever a house is smiling, the whole family or the whole female inside the family are able to smile. If they are angry, no female has the right to even smile or speak. Oh my God, speaking with a loud voice or maybe laughing hardly, that's an impossible thing. So with those type of society, I can never ever imagine myself or anybody who is here as an Afghan go back to that country and live there. They're going to be dead. But those people that are right now inside Afghanistan and they're still doing their job as a journalist, they're the true heroes. And the world needs to recognize that. I don't understand where a lot of people are getting Oscars for movies. Why does nobody talk about them? Because they are suffering the worst life right now. They have so many scars, they have so many masks on when they're trying to interview somebody. I've seen so many videos where females are trying to interview a man and he's like denying that, he's rejecting her. He's like, oh, you are a female, I don't want to talk to you.
Oh.
Imagine being embarrassed of your own gender. What type of life that could be? So the life has changed to a complete, or turned to a complete hell to them, and it's not fair at all.
Given the current situation, what steps ought to be taken to aid Afghan journalists who stand firm perspective of the difficulties facing them today, especially female journalists among them?
I would say human basic rights. That's all. Because we cannot differentiate the category of female from humanity. They are at a part of the humanity. They are the base of the humanity. So if we talk about humanity, it includes female, male, and children. Or I would say female, children, and then men. So if you try to focus on humanity, if you try to bring the basic human voice and their rights and their freedom, everything is going to be fine. And I don't think this step should be only taken, let's say, to women or to children specifically. Right now, whatever kind of difficulty that Afghan journalists are facing, it's because of the strategic plan that the Afghan government, not even the Afghan government, the Taliban government is obeying, and the world is watching them. And I would give a big hand of help at this corner to United States, because they need to do something. It's going to be turned to a very political aspect, but as long as they don't do anything, as long as we don't have their attention, I don't think so the rest of the world will take care of us.
Mm-hmm. So looking ahead, in what capacity do you think that you will be able to shape the future of Afghanistan, both from being a reporter and an Afghan immigrant? Besides, what expectation do you have for its future?
For the future, we gotta be always positive, but with this situation that we are having right now in Afghanistan, specifically for female journalists in Afghanistan, I don't think so we're gonna go anywhere positive. It's going to be always negative, and it's going to be worse and worse than that. Can you please pardon the first part of your question?
Yeah, what do you think that you will be able, how you're going to be able to shape the future of Afghanistan from being a reporter or an Afghan immigrant?
So I would say the main thing could be education, and education, and education. Because these three things that is actually one could be the very basic thing, and could be the very important thing, and could be the very last thing. So as long as we educate everybody, especially men, and men through female, that's going to give us the best society. Because give one woman education, the whole society will be educated. So it's going to be starting with education, and it's going to end with education through females specifically.
So thank you, Onka Ajayebzai, for joining us today and sharing your inspiring story. Your insights have been truly enlightening, and we value your time and perspective. Wishing you all the best in this beautiful journey ahead.
Thank you so much for having me.
We hope that her words have resonated with you as they have with us, sparking moments of introspection and empathy. Remember, even in the face of uncertainty and distance, our stories have the power to break divides and inspire change. Join us next time as we continue to explore the untold stories of Afghan women who are shaping the narrative of their homeland and beyond. Until then, thank you for listening to Breaking Barriers. This is Frog Marchikan signing off.